Hi guys, bargain store project time. Had a suggestion from John, who was looking at one of my videos where I'd done something with a clock. He wanted to know whether we could put some solar lights inside a clock so that it charges up during the day and then at night you'll be able to tell the time. Now, most of the garden LED light sets that I come across, they work, but they don't stay bright for very long at night. Whereas these ones that come from Poundland, they're not very bright, but they do stay on for a long time. I've got one hanging in my conservatory, and that stays light for, well, right through the night into the early morning. It's only got about 4 LEDs. They're on a little string in there, and we'll have a closer look in a minute. So that came from Poundland. The clock came from Pound World, so that cost me £1. And we'll just open it up a bit. Now, if you watched the previous video where I used the insides of one of these clocks for a different clock project, you'll know that I actually cracked the glass on the front of it. So it was just as well I was actually taking it apart to use it for a different project. So I'll be a bit more careful taking this one apart. So this front is glass, and going round the inside edge there's little plastic clips that you can use a screwdriver or something to push them out so we can actually release the glass. So I'll get a screwdriver and do that. Right, I don't know if we'll be able to see because the sunlight's a bit bright at the moment. It's low in the sky, but it's bright. There's a little clip there. If I just ease it out and do that all the way around, I say all the way around, I think there's only a couple of those clips. Anyway, we can lever it up, and we've got the glass out without breaking it this time. But that is glass, so be careful with it. I'll put it back in the box for now. So, we got the lid off. What we need to do now is take this apart. You can probably see the wire loom there that's got the LEDs on it. I think there's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 4 on there. They're not very far apart, so I'm not quite sure where we'll position them. And I'm not sure where we're going to put this bit, because it's a bit lumpy, and we also want it to catch the sunlight. So I suppose the simplest thing is either mount it straight on top, because it's too deep to sort of put right in the middle there, because the hands will catch on it. But I'll see if we can take it apart and see if we can just use part of it instead of the whole thing. A bit less depth then. I suspect it won't come out, but we'll try. Alright, okay. That's the rechargeable battery. That's the circuit board. Can we get the solar bit out without it breaking? So that's probably glued in there. I'll have a little look. Well, it doesn't take much looking. I can see that there's actually hot glue or some sort of resin seeping through the holes where the wires go through. So I don't think we're going to get that off easily. I think the next best option will be just to saw round here carefully so that we can take the bottom half off and just be left with the top section. So I'll go and do that. I've carefully sawed around the edge, so I've separated this piece from the actual solar panel mounting, and I've just noticed something interesting about the clock. On the back here it's got these two positions. Looks like it could have speakers in there if they wanted it to. It doesn't have speakers in there, but it's got these circular bits, and they just happen to be the same size as that. So I reckon if I cut the backs off them, I can possibly mount this piece, which has the on-off switch on it. I don't know if you can actually see the LEDs came on then when I cover the solar panel. There we go. So you can see they're not very bright LEDs, but I'm just going to try them out. So I might be able to use these holes or mountings to hold that, and if I just cut a hole in the paper there, that'll probably just go straight through that way, so it'll be facing the sun. I'm just pushing there, and that's showing me where the hole is. So I'm going to cut around there with a knife. I didn't choose this clock for this purpose, it was just the only clock they had in Pound World for £1. But I reckon that is going to fit in there with no trouble. But then I've got to try and figure out what I'm going to do with all these bits and pieces. I wonder if I can get that. No, I don't think there's going to be quite enough room to get that in there with that stuff in there. I'll have a little play. Right, well this is just luck, I would say, completely unplanned, but I'm just pushing that section into there and it clears the hour hand. There's a gap behind it. That battery's going to be in the way. Let's turn that back the other way. But that's a bit of luck that that fits in. Now I've been squashing that straight on top of that circuit board, but there isn't enough room to get the battery in there at the same time, so the battery's going to have to be out somewhere. There's plenty of room here, I can just sit here out the way. But it looks like we'll be able to have the on-off switch there and the circuit board inside. And then we've got to decide where we're going to put these LEDs. Ideally, it could be at 6, 9, 12, but where does that one go? Or we just go midpoint, 4:30, 7:30, 10:30, 1:30. Yeah, something like that, I think. Well, I have to admit, I'm surprised how well that's come up together. There's our 4 LEDs and our solar panel. I used a bit of hot glue to hold the LEDs in place. And we've still got the on-off switch if we want it, although we're unlikely to ever touch that. So I'll put it back together, put a battery in it, and we can try it out. And you can see, if I cover the cell, the lights come on. What we're not going to know is if there's enough light there to illuminate it enough to see the hands. So I'll have to go in a dark room or something and have a look. Right, the problem with trying to demonstrate this is if it's dark enough for the LEDs to light, I don't know how good the camera will be. Oh, we can see the LEDs come on there. Right, we're not really in a dark room. I'll go and see if there's anywhere else I can find. We're up in the loft in my house. Now, you really can't tell whether you can see that clock face or not, because the LEDs are too bright for the camera. I can see it really clearly. It's amazing, it really does work well. But I've got to bring the camera right up close, because otherwise the LEDs are too bright. I've got to say, John, that was a good idea. That works absolutely fine. Just the camera can't see it. That's quite bright actually. I can actually see around in my loft space. Not much, but I can see around. So, job done. It works. Where was the light switch? Oh look, rubber band powered cars and other stuff. Well, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. And those LEDs are still burning bright. So, looks like it works.